Today's sponsor is Coastal Crypto. Coastal Crypto can be found at coastalcryptomining.com via the affiliate link down in the description below. They don't want to take up a lot of your time, and neither do I, because I want to get into the video. They are here to help miners find parts. If you're looking for ASICs or even GPUs or any other parts, be sure to check them out. Use promo code SOAT at checkout for 5% off any purchase on the website. Okie dokie, let's talk about Ergo. I've been watching Ergo, obviously, a lot. Excuse me. I really shouldn't. Look, Wrath of the Lich King is addictive, and I probably need to work on that vice, because otherwise we're going to be staying up way too late every night. It's a problem. I forgot how much of a... I forgot how much of a problem World of Warcraft is. Whoopsies! What did you do all night? I was just skinning and leatherworking. Skinning and leatherworking. You know what I mean? Why? No particular reason. Does it do anything for me? I don't know. I'm really tired, and I gotta do jujitsu. So, yeah, wow. Okay, there's a lot to parse out for Ergo at this point, right? So EIP 37 went through. Along with that came a pretty nice price pump, right? Over the past 7 days, we're up 7% on Ergo, which is at $2.89. And the hash rate kind of doubled, essentially, from like 25 terahash a second to 50 terahash a second, right? It's coming back down now. We'll talk about that, but we definitely did see basically a doubling of the hash rate. Nowhere near what we saw, you know, right pre-merge or right post-merge, excuse me, where we hit 250 terahash a second, which I feel like you would need to see to know if this like fully fixed it, right? Because EIP 37, at the end of the day, it keeps the system intact as far as like how it works. All it does is speed it up, right? So as opposed to it happening every 1,024 blocks, it happens every 128 blocks. And the measured time is also shortened. So that's basically being shortened by 87%. This does seem to, I mean, it clearly has an effect to where it is harder to game, but that doesn't mean that people aren't gaming it, right? And that's kind of like, you could see it happening yesterday. I'll kind of show you here. At least attempting to game it. What I saw was like essentially you could see it kind of, it would go up, you know, drop off here, go back to 15, kind of build back up, go to 54, drop off. The next epoch, so this is like every other epoch, right? And it's almost... So this first one looks like it's being gamed by a large farm. The rest of these actually just look like miners not knowing what's going on, really. And why is that? Because like it slowly comes off as it's not profitable, as profitable. And then the next epoch hits and it shoots back up. And then it comes back down and it shoots back up. And this one was interesting. It kind of, people were like, okay, we're going to let it go back up and then back down. And then shoots back up, and now it kind of hit its max difficulty, and it's kind of slowly come back down. So this just seems like miners are testing out if they're going to remain profitable. The problem is that kind of messes, and this is where we're really looking at right now. Yeah, right now we're in the shit. You know, like when people say like we're in the shit, this is in the shit for blockchain, okay? This is what we want to demonstrate, okay? The problem that I am paying attention to with Ergo. So the way the difficulty adjustment is supposed to function is it's supposed to slow down or speed up, essentially, or basically reduce or increase the difficulty to slow down or speed up the block times, with the target block time being 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds. And what happens when a bunch of hash rate comes onto the network is instead of adjusting difficulty right away, it basically speeds up the block times, right? So the block times are reduced because more hash rates on the network at an easier time, right? So it speeds it up. And then at that point, that means that your next epoch is going to hit quicker. That does mean that The more hash rate on the network, the faster you will have a difficulty adjustment in relation to the difficulty being too low. The problem is that you get the inverse of that, and that's what we can demonstrate here, meaning that when the difficulty is high, right, and miners jump off, the block times are increased. Once again, the problem with this is not profitability for GPU miners. The problem with this is usability of the network when you're wanting to do things like DeFi on Spectrum or participate with an Ergo pad for staking, these types of things, right? The end user experience, if your block times are varying between 30 seconds to like a few minutes, can be a little frustrating and confusing. We've seen this a ton of times when people were on even Ethereum, and while Ethereum was pretty close to like 40 seconds, at a time, people would get a little frustrated with it because they'd be like, oh, my transactions are taking forever. If they're going to really, really take forever because essentially we're having this problem happen over and over again, then I don't know. It's not near as bad as it was pre-EIP 37. Right now, for example, we're only at about 29 seconds. It was just at like, what was that? 30 seconds over the intended block time. So 2.5 minutes instead of 2 minutes for the target block time. And that is because the difficulty shot up to 7.5p, obviously due to the fact that our hash rate hit 70 terahash a second, right around there. I don't know why my mouse isn't pulling it up. And then, we're 20 or so, 20, 24, 25 terahash below that. So the difficulty has to adjust another 2.5p down, which means that essentially there's not enough hash rate for how difficult the network is for it to hit 2-minute block times. Now, here's where profitability matters, and obviously much better than what pre-EIP 37, to the point to where really, honestly, I think this is working. I think this is working out pretty well, but you still do have kind of this weird thing going on here. And here's where there is potential problems in the future. And that is that there's a clear incentive to gamify the difficulty on Ergo to benefit very large mining farms. So why is that? Well, if you have a low difficulty and you know that the difficulty is not going to adjust for 128 blocks, and you can basically figure out how much of that hash rate you can speed up, you can deploy hash rate onto there, speed it up via a script, make additional, right, earn additional Ergo, and then drop off, making the actual network less profitable for the loyal miners, or however you want to say it. And this was the initial worry about all the hash rate coming onto the K1 solo pool. It looks, at least to me, like with a huge influx that we had up to 70 terahash and coming down, that it's adjusted out pretty well. Like I said, 154 second block times, when we're in the shit, is a lot better than the, up to 20-minute block times that we're seeing pre-EIP 37. I don't think that means that we're fully out of it yet. I think that it definitely requires some more monitoring, especially if there are going to be, like these rumors of FPGAs coming onto the network and so on. I don't know the validity to that exactly at this time, but definitely going to want to pay attention to how it's functioning. As a miner, you want to be extremely careful. Because your mining profitability is going to vary heavily, right? And when the epochs are slowed down like they are right now, you can see that initially it happened very quickly, right? So, if you're a miner that's just setting it and forgetting it between, 1540 here and 1800, about 3 hours, yeah, you're not as profitable as you are on this uptick between 1300 and 1600 hours, right? But, it's not terrible. It's about 3 hours. So then it resets in another 3 hours. As you can see, that got longer once we got to 70 terahash. Instead of 3 hours, how long has it taken for the hash rate to come back down? Well, we're at 200 hours to, 10. So that's 6.5 hours now before the hash rate starts averaging out. This means that, like, for the smaller miners, while it won't report very well in what to mine, right? Because what to mine's not tracking this as well in what is actually happening with the block time slowing down. It means that now that we hit this 71 terahash a second, pretty much all the loyal miners are kind of unprofitable for now 6 hours. So we've kind of doubled the time, right? Now the question is how does that scale? If we went to 140 terahash a second, does that mean that we have a 12-hour period of unprofitability due to how much more that slows down the block times? These are the questions I have. Theoretically, yes, that will happen. If it spiked to 140 terahash a second, we could expect a time of unprofitability and slow block times to last for up to 12 hours, right? If we saw that go up to 250, it would be about a day, right? So that would end up resulting in a weird network problem still, because what we would end up having is essentially miners turning on every other day to hit the block rewards for an hour to 3 hours and then shut off for a day and move to a different coin to mine. So this is kind of like what I'm paying attention to. Hopefully you guys see exactly what I'm talking about, where the concerns are. Like, you can clearly see that when we went from 50 terahash to 70 terahash, that the hash rate coming off of the network slowed down and our block time slowed down and the adjustment slowed down, right? But it's much better. Like I said, I think for the most part, this seems to have fixed it. But as a miner, you're going to want to pay attention, because your profitability from that like hour and a half to 3 hours is going to look a lot better than your profitability for the next 6 hours, right? So you have to average all of that out. And I don't think what to mine's really going to do that for you. In fact, I'm pretty certain right now what to mine won't do that for you. Few miners has taken back over as far as most hash rate by quite a lot. And the profitability is up. Or not profitability, sorry, the price is up. So that's all we gotta do for Ergo. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.